We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura pass me by, losing balance. What if we run out of time and second chances? Empty-handed. You like the fast life, you like to drive and get down and dirty, act like the bad guy. You want some love, be like when you feel like calling at midnight. You got the best of me, you got me losing sleep. I've been hopeful, baby, I was hoping maybe that you cross my path. I've been singing.
Hey guys, welcome to Read the Fine Print podcast, where we talk about everything they don't tell you in life, love, and in the quest for success.
Yep.
Yeah, so the first part of, I guess, the podcast, we did the stuff that you see now on our YouTube is actually, 2 years ago? 2 years ago.
Yeah.
This was 2 years ago. Our third child had not even been born.
I think Legacy
was a baby. She was an infant at the time. A toddler. She was, yeah. And now we're back. I think it was good for us to release those finally. It's funny because 2 years ago we thought we were going to release it. Didn't. We finally did. And we just want to keep building on that. We thought that now that you guys kind of see how we met and, you know, what attracted us to each other, maybe some childhood things that we talked about, it's time to kind of like bring you guys into the now, 2023. And if you're new here, my name's Khalifa, and
My name is Samora.
And this is, we're married. We are millennials, we're married, we have children, we live in the suburbs of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but we are from New York, Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah.
And you're from?
I was born in Jamaica,
Yeah.
but I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I speak about my journey a little bit, but I didn't get too in depth into it. But like that's for other podcasts. This podcast we're gonna speak about like what I found out in 2020. And it was a crazy journey, so
Yeah.
that's what we're gonna speak about today.
Yeah, we want to bring you guys in on that. And again, this is everything they don't tell you in life, love, and in the quest for success. And when you get married, you often say those traditional vows, for better or for worse, for richer or for poor, in sickness and in health. And we had no idea that sickness would come
So quick
or really ever. You never really anticipate sickness. You think that's for later on in your life.
Yeah.
But one day things shifted.
Was what 2020 or 2019?
2020. Yeah, it was in. I guess you started a new job.
Yeah.
And you were just in a different environment.
Yeah, I was basically standing on my feet all day, and I haven't did that in a while. Like the last time I was standing on my feet was when I was working at the car dealership.
Yeah, which
And
was 2012.
Yeah, I was very young, so that wasn't, I guess, nothing. But like, yeah, it started when I was working on my feet all day. I started feeling like pains. My right leg and my right leg and my right arm was like locking up on me, and I didn't know what it was. I just knew it was not regular for me. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, yeah. So I forgot how the whole thing went.
You had came home a few times.
And I spoke
you told
about
me,
it.
but let's be real. We
Yeah.
were having.
You didn't believe me because like you have it in your head that I'm this macho tough guy and nothing could be wrong with me. I don't know why, but like because I probably don't cry like that no more.
Right.
You feel me? So that's why like, and you thought I was a macho and I was saying stuff that was I don't think you think it was untrue, but it's just like you just have me as a tough guy. You get what I'm saying? But like I was feeling pain, so it took you a while to get to like, yeah, let's go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And to be serious, like that's what's wrong with most guys. Like it take like the woman.
Yes, to
be
initiate it.
Yeah, go to the hospital because I would have probably stayed.
Yeah.
Pain and
so
stuff, you know?
And what I remember, I know you always say it took me a long time, but honestly,
it wasn't that long.
Yeah.
It was probably like 2 weeks or so.
Well, if I could go back in time and put myself back in those days, I would say we was having like, we weren't feeling each other, right? So we
in better terms.
Yeah, better terms. We weren't on the same page. We were kind of having some conflict. You got to think this is pandemic. This is pre-pandemic.
Pre-pandemic. So
Legacy was just born. So we just had a newborn. Okay. Mm-hmm. We had Legacy in December. Fast forward, and remember, you probably got.
I think you was on leave too.
I was on maternity. Okay, yes, I was on maternity leave, but I was homeschooling because we were in. Were we in work home thing?
Yeah, you was in work home and it's.
Well, I was on maternity leave.
I don't think school had closed down.
School hadn't closed down yet?
Yeah, no.
Okay, that's right. So, I was on maternity leave. My maternity leave was close to ending. Because remember, this happened in March. And I had the baby, but I had Legacy in December. The end of December, after Christmas. And I guess we had some conflicts happening. And he would come home and he would say he was like numb and everything. And my like when I was receiving that information, it just came off to me like the symptoms he was telling me was stroke-like symptoms. And I'm like, well, you're telling me this, we need to go to the hospital. But you weren't trying to go to the hospital in the beginning.
I wasn't trying to. Because
so
we go back
to the men and how they are. And that happened to us the other day. You were not feeling good. You told me your pain was at a 9. I'm like, let's go to the hospital. And you're like, no. You actually told me to leave him alone. But, so for me, I'm like, let's go to the hospital. And when you declined that, I was like, okay, well then it must not be that bad if you telling me you don't want to go to the hospital. So then you kept bringing it back up. You go to work, you kept bringing it back up. So I did my due diligence. I reached out to the specialist because I do work in healthcare and I do work for a big health system. So I started to call. They said the appointment wasn't going to be until about 6 weeks out. 6 months out. And his symptoms, and if you guys watch the he's a comedian. We love him. Mike Epps. And you see how Mike Epps in his comedy and he be doing the thing with the arm? Yes. That is how he looked. His arm was almost like dead-like.
Yeah,
but
I was even scared to like pick up Legacy.
Yes.
Because like if I had held anything with that arm, it would have dropped there. So I was scared to even do that. So it was crazy.
It was, and then I was getting a little frustrated because I'm like, you sound like you having a stroke by what you're telling me. I clearly see you're not having a stroke, but then I don't know. And in my family, like, things go from 0 to 100 in terms of sickness. You can literally walk out the door and drop. So I take things a little bit more serious. I do deal with anxiety. Fast forward to, I said, you know what? Common sense, the Grey's Anatomy, all the years of Grey's Anatomy kicked in. Yeah. I said they have every specialist at the hospital. Why would we wait 6 months to see a specialist that works at the hospital that's just going to see you in their office? Let's go to the hospital. If something is clearly wrong, which it looks like to be wrong, we will see the on-call XYZ, whether it's the on-call cardiologist, on-call neurologist, on-call infectious disease.
And that's when you mentioned let's go to the emergency room.
And
I think I stalled for like
Yes.
Couple days.
Exactly.
I stalled for like a couple days and then the pain became like
overwhelming, yeah.
Yeah, so then we went and it was crazy.
You were like you had like if you're standing outside in the freezing cold in shorts, that's how you were. You were laying in the bed, in the hospital bed. You were like, I can't remember. You had numbness. You had tremors. You had a lot.
it was tingling.
Yes, you had a lot, and it was a lot where when he first came into triage, they knew they took you serious. Like they didn't play around with you. They literally started doing all the tests, and that ended up being
has like wires on my head and stuff like that. And yeah, that's when they started doing all the tests. And I remember this one time because that was a time I'm like, I'll never do this again. When they put the long needle in my back to get like the fluid and like it touch a nerve and like my legs start kicking and stuff. I'm like, oh man, that's when I had like a different appreciation for like women and stuff when they be getting like
the epidural. Yeah, but that's a little different. You had spinal fluid. You had a spinal tap. So they took fluid out of your spine. Yeah. With the epidural, they put a needle into your spine area and numb it. It's not
even that long, right?
I never looked. I
seen the needle. It was like
long. When they did it in mine?
No, when they did it
for
in
you.
mine.
Oh yeah, yours was long. It's different. They took liquid out. They don't do that in the epidural.
Okay.
But what happened is this was right at the cusp of when the pandemic was about to be officially announced, and everybody's lining up all the tissues. So you got so then you got admitted. It was like you were in the hospital for 3 days. I have a newborn. They're not really trying to let people into the hospital. That was right before they started that age limit where you couldn't be after a certain. That was right before,
and that's when it was new too. So nobody really knew
exactly
the effect of it and everything.
Right. So Corona, whatever it was just about to happen. So what happens is with this specific diagnosis, it's not an actual test that they can say is this. It's a process of elimination. So they took you through multiple tests, ruling out Lyme disease, ruling out HIV, ruling out all of these things.
And when did I get an MRI? Because I think that's when they really came back and confirmed.
Well, I know they did the test with all the stuff on your brain, which is like an EEG. I think that's what it's called. I don't really remember when they did. I was not present when they did the MRI for you.
Okay, so I think that's when they came back with it, and they like, oh, you got like 2 lesions in your brain, and this is what you have, and that's when I knew I had MS, right? So while everybody else was worried about the pandemic and stuff, which I was, right? I was worried about having MS now, right? And the pandemic. So
MS is multiple sclerosis.
Yes, and like I have what I have relapse
multiple
MS.
Sclerosis.
It's like
it's not progressive.
I don't know to explain it. Like it's kind of like a more like some people have cancer and then you have like stage 4.
Right.
So it's more aggressive MS. No, I'm saying it's more.
Oh, you mean out there?
Like people have more aggressive MS. Like those are the ones that you see like in wheelchairs and stuff like that and can't move. Which mine's could probably get there, right, in the future, I think. But right now I'm on medication and stuff. Yeah. You know, I go every 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
Yeah.
Every 6 months he does infusions. So think of it like chemo. Not radiation, but chemotherapy. It's the same thing as chemotherapy. Just they target it's not for the same diagnosis. Every 6 months he goes to get infusions. And in the beginning, you've had this 2 years now?
Yeah, 2020 till now it's like 2-3 years.
Yeah. So this is the first time I actually went to an appointment, the one that just passed physically, because again we talk about the pandemic. You know, they were not allowing children, and you know I had my
kids
2
It's kind of.
It was hard. But I would be on the phone, and remember one time I drove you there and stayed in the parking lot? Yeah. So it was like, you know, I'd be on the phone. And as you said, we were all worried about the pandemic once it finally hit, but he was worried about multiple sclerosis. But to be honest, as a wife, I don't see him worried about his condition. And that brings up a lot of... That's the fine print of manhood That's the fine print of.
Because I don't show my emotions.
And you don't speak on it either.
I don't speak on it.
Right.
And you know that, right? I don't even think I know how to show my emotions, right?
Right.
I don't even think that's a thing. Because, like, when was the last time I cried? You don't know. I don't even remember. Exactly. So I don't really know to show my emotions. So that's on me, you know, because like you can't read somebody if they're not showing like how they're feeling and stuff.
You can, but then it makes you anxious. I already have anxiety, so for a long time in our relationship, I would be anticipating things that you think and you feel, and that at a point in time, I just got to a point where I said, I'm not doing that anymore. We are adults. We are to be in a relationship, so it's a give and a take. You know, I can't keep jumping to try to figure out what's in your brain, and then it gets a technical because like just a small example. 2 nights ago, when you were not feeling well and you said your pain was at a 9, I was there. Babe, are you okay? Babe, do you need tea? Babe, do you need that? And he was looking at me like, if you don't disappear out of my presence.
Yeah, cause I that's where it goes to the stubbornness too. Like I was feeling pain, but I was not trying to go to the hospital because like I only have the weekend off.
We read about the weekend. He said his pain is at a 9. Now when you
they be keeping you in the hospital.
They keep you, but babe, you said your pain was at a 9. But it was less about that, and it's more about.
You know what it was too. What? It didn't feel life threatening. Like it felt crazy. Like it wasn't nothing I felt that was life threatening. Like that's why. Like, if it was like you see me when I had took a walk that day because I call them. if anybody, well, a lot of people don't know, but MS and sun don't get along. So if I'm walking in the sun for a long period of time, it could have me nauseous and like need fluid, and it's a lot of stuff. So one time I was walking out in the sun with the kids to the park and everything, and I came back home, and the next day I was feeling drowsy, so I had to call the ambulance. Yeah. But that felt life threatening. At that time. You get what I'm saying? So
and even in that time, I'm like, he calling the
because you always think like this guy's tough. I
don't think you tough. I think, and again, this is the fine print of life, love, etc. It's a lot of times we come to one another with perceptions. The way that you perceive me and the way that I perceive you, and there has to be a subsection where we just get to the understanding. You understand? Or else we're just going to be having perceptions about what's going on, and it's never really going to be a flow, So, but I was saying that, so now that you had your diagnosis, how did you really feel? Like, what was the first initial feelings that you could remember about hearing this is actually a diagnosis? This is not just symptoms. This is not just going to pass over. This is what you have, and to know you cannot get rid of it.
I felt at first how I felt about myself, because who would think like they could like get stuff like this or whatever. So I was stressed out. I felt disappointed in myself. I felt like I could no longer provide for my family, like, and then the pills that they was giving me, gabapentin made me even feel like more down on myself, like I was tired all the time. I could probably stand up and sleep, like I don't know what kind of pills that was. So yeah, I really at the time when I got diagnosed, like I just got over like the whole thing,
You mean now?
Like probably a year ago, like having to like live with it and everything. Now
the impact of it.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying. But when I first got it, I definitely felt like this is it for me. Like it's over, So
who did you tell?
No one. I don't. I do not show or share my emotions,
Yeah.
and like even for you being like so close to me, because
Mm-hmm.
you're very close to my heart and
Mm-hmm.
everything. Like you're my wife, is that do us apart and everything. I didn't share like my emotions with you. I went through it like by myself, and how it came out was me lashing out and stuff. So, and that was not good for the relationship, you know.
Right.
So,
What did you What did you see me from your experience? How did you experience me in those times? Did you feel, or did you believe that I had not given you the care or the focus or priority? What was your disappointments maybe in me?
well, the I wouldn't call it disappointments because, like I said, I was not sharing my pain or my emotions or whatnot.
Hindsight, you can say that now. I want you to maybe go back
That's
in
why
those moments.
that's what I'm about to go back to, because being here now and like realizing what I was also doing back then, and maybe you could have did more to like get it out of me, because when you want to get stuff out of me, you could get it out of me, right? So like I feel like both of us, but I'm talking about me now, but like I wasn't sharing my emotions, and I wasn't like telling you how I'm feeling and stuff like that. So you kind of didn't know. You get what I'm saying? So it's no way for you to act accordingly if you didn't know how I'm feeling. As far as you know, I'm regular, because after they start giving me the medicine and stuff, like the tingling and stuff like
The
that,
symptoms went
yeah, the
away.
symptoms went away for,
Right.
you know. So like you kind of probably felt like, if I was you, I would have probably felt like, oh, he's kind of fine now,
Okay.
right?
So far, you've not said what you thought in that moment, though. It's what
No,
I'm hearing is hindsight.
okay. So I thought that, damn, like till death do us apart and everything. It's like, damn, you supposed to be coming to my aid, and like, you know, like if I need a bath, or I'm just saying, like, you know, like,
You can
but
express yourself. You can say it. You keep
yes,
stopping yourself.
yeah, I know, but
Let
like,
it out.
like coming to my aid, like for like nurturing, caring, understanding, and stuff like that. I feel like you was tapped out a little bit, you know.
Do you did okay? That's honest.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, that's honest. Now that you know, what did you think? Because we had we had household for for the children. Um,
you
what
definitely had your foot down in that. I could never say you're a bad mother, or like you stray far from the household, because you was busy on that. But I think,
I didn't prioritize the husband.
yeah, the husband part. So like I know, like that's why I could never be mad at you, you know, because like
You could
you,
be mad, but
for a moment, like no, I'm not. But like back then, when I just, cause like I said a year ago, I just learned how to live with this, you
yeah.
know, and like
So
be
how have
normal and not thinking, oh, I can't do nothing or nothing
right?
like that, you know, like
So how have you? And you know what? For me, when you got diagnosed, that is honestly the reason why I started the food brand, because I started to think. And maybe to you, it may be like, oh, she's putting something else on her plate. But in my mind, I'm like, I can start this food brand, make money, create it a side hustle, so that if ever you in the close near future have to go on straight disability, cannot work, your symptoms increase expeditiously, I would be able to, like, we would still be a 2 income household. So I think I started to go in solution mode. I started to go in like my flight fight or flight, sensors started to go up, and I started to just like focus on what I could do now. And I started to focus on what I could do in the now. I think that it didn't help that we had so many changes within that previous year, bringing,
the kids.
Yeah, bringing the kids in full time. The growing pains that came with that. Then you got diagnosed and you were like out of commission mentally, physically. So now you have me who would love to be the support, but I had to take in a whole new role, and I guess in my own way to protect myself, and not in comparison to your diagnosis or your condition, but it just felt like what you often think, right? It's like you often have this perception about how things should go. If you get diagnosed with something, you think like you'll be more gentle, you'll be more like, you think that it would be the 180-degree thing that it makes it. I thought it would just bring us together. I thought it would be easy for me to come in and support you, but it was like I didn't know where or what you needed at any point in the day.
I wasn't.
You did not communicate at all.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't really telling you my emotions or showing my emotions.
And then after that,
and if I did show my emotions, it was like anger,
it was anger,
frustration, So I don't think you could have.
I didn't know what was. I just didn't know.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, you're not wrong in this situation, and I'm not either, because
it's just a life experience.
It's a life experience. Like, I just got diagnosed with something. Like, remind you, before this, I was good. Like, I was normal and everything. So, like, I didn't know how to deal with such a new thing in my life. So
what do you remember the moment that you finally came into maybe more of an understanding and acceptance that you said a year ago?
I think when I realized that that I'm gonna have to live with this for the rest of my life, and every 6 months I go, I'm gonna have to do that for the rest of my life. And working and stuff, like, I used to like think, like, make excuses like, oh, I can't, which sometimes it's like overbearing because the pain and stuff, like, sometimes, but like, I could do it, like, I could provide,
like, it's not a death sentence.
Yeah, I could still go and provide for my family and stuff like that, and then, like, and I just got it too, you go on Google, stuff there. Oh yeah, you're gonna be dead in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So, like, that was stressing too. And
have you gotten to the place where you have been able to explain to the children mainly Mason, because he is the only one that can understand?
I explained to Mason. We both explained to Mason, but I don't think he get the depth of the situation.
Yeah.
Like, he don't really understand. Like, he know I have MS, but he still want to go play basketball with his dad and go do this with his dad. So he don't really understand. I don't think he's gonna understand it till he get older and stuff like that.
So recently, we're in the early part of the year. You went for your infusions again. Where are we at with the MS? What's happening now?
Well, I went for my new my infusion in January, and when I went there, I always tell people, like, because I work with a lot of senior citizens and stuff, and we always have funny conversation, and I always be like, yeah, the doctor is like when you go to the mechanic, you go to fix a brake,
and she finds something else.
Yeah, they find something else wrong with you. So I I went there and basically, the doctor told me, my doctor told me that I have a new infusion, a new lesion. So
which
now-
is white matter
White
on your
matter.
brain, spots. It's spots on the brain.
Yeah, that could cause like a nerve
Yeah.
or like something like some mobility to your body. Like
Yeah.
it could be like a finger or something
Right.
like that.
The transmission of like pain and things are affected
Yes.
with more lesions coming on your brain.
Yeah, exactly. And like that didn't really like stress me or get me down, but I was thinking like, how could they be giving me this medicine and to prevent me from
Progressing.
getting something or progressing, and I still get it, right? So that's what I didn't understand. I didn't trip about that. Is when the doctor said you had like traces of JC virus.
Yeah.
That's what got me.
Right. So what happened was, so just for the audience, so they know what happened. It was he had his new infusion, and I went, and thank God I went. Right? No, we already knew you had. Okay, so you went for your MRI and your blood work, and that's when they told you, Grey's Anatomy. I'm a Grey's Anatomy alumni, so I could decipher a little bit through the summary that was provided for the MRI, and I was like, I think they're saying that you have new lesions, but he was just like, we'll wait till we go to the doctor to see what they say. We went to the doctor, she confirmed there's new lesions, and then from there, there's a matter of the fact that she has to reiterate this medication and process of infusions every 6 months is not a cure, and it cannot stop anything. It is just too slow as much as possible. But you also have to know you have to use this you have to when you're doing this medication and have this diagnosis, you also have to change certain things about your lifestyle. So it's just kind of like you gotta find out if the shoe fits and when it fits. And so now he had to go through another blood work and testing so that he can rule out that he doesn't have some infection called JCV, which he has had it in the past. And so if he had it now, they were almost saying it could be like deadly. And thank God I was there, only because I was able to ask those questions that if I was not there, you would have just been like letting it go over.
And then I went to Google
and then you would have been going to Google. Oh,
I did go to Google.
So he went to Google, and what did Google tell you?
And I think a lot of people know this. Do not go to Google. Google is not the doctor. Google have you strung
It's
up.
very general information.
Yeah, like they basically tell me if I got it, I got a certain amount of time to live.
Right.
Basically.
So he Googled on the porch one night the stuff that the doctor had talked about, and he came upstairs and was like, I think I have 6 months to live.
Yeah.
And I was just, I was literally like, you can't really react right now, Khalifa.
We're in trances, going off to different places, different planets. Watch your aura.